If we die alone.
The Way of the Gun, the final shootout. The perfect blend of realism and style. The Way of the Gun is one of the most underrated action movies of all time and contains one of the best shootouts ever put to screen. In this video I will dissect the scene and go over exactly what makes it so good. If you would like to watch the scene in its entirety before listening to my analysis of it, you can find a link to it in the description. One of the biggest problems that bad action movies have in their shootouts is that the geometry is unclear. It is extremely important to know where characters are in relation to each other and to have an understanding of the layout of the environment, far more so in an action sequence when compared to a dialogue scene. Good shootouts use the setting as part of the action choreography rather than just the backdrop. The shootout in The Way of the Gun utilizes well-established geometry and is a clear-cut goal for the protagonists. Parker and Longbow, played by Ryan Phillippe and Benicio del Toro, are trying to reach the bags of money that have been placed atop a fountain in the courtyard, like free cheese in a mousetrap, as Longbow puts it.
There's always free cheese in a mousetrap.
The money gives the protagonists a destination, which in turn adds an intense directionalism to the shootout. The characters are not trying to escape, they aren't trying just to survive, they aren't making it their goal to kill all their enemies. They are trying to cross a courtyard infested with enemies, snatch the money, and cross back. The directionalism of the shootout means that any forward movement equates progression towards their goals. The geometry of the scene is established brilliantly by 2 POV shots from each of the characters surveying the courtyard right before the action begins. These shots are conveying more information than just the characters are observing their location. They are also allowing the audience to gain an understanding of the upcoming gunfight's layout. Before the shootout begins, as a viewer, you have a fully fleshed out mental image of the entire courtyard. You know that the fountain is in the center, that the building creates 3 sides of a square around the fountain and has a long covered open-air hallway running along the perimeter, that there is a second floor with large windows which come into play later on in the scene, and you get a feel for the architecture of the courtyard, which is an integral element in the ensuing shootout. The geometry of the courtyard and design of the architecture makes this location perfect for a shootout. The thick walls and pillars provide varied cover that is used creatively throughout the lengthy scene's masterful choreography. The location used here is the same location that was used in the final shootout in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And the characters' names Parker and Longbow are also a nod to the real names of Butch and Sundance. I'll get into what I mean when I say that this scene is the perfect blending of realism and style in a shootout. Every single bullet fired is accounted for, which is something that surprisingly most action films neglect. Every bullet that is fired is kept track of, meaning that the characters reload when they would need to, which is frequently, and that you see the impact of every bullet. Every bullet has a destination that can be seen within the film. The architecture again plays an important role here, with the constant jets of debris from the pillars and walls and splintering wood. The way that the characters act is also far more realistic than the majority of action films. Throughout the entire film, Parker and Longbow follow strict trigger discipline, meaning that they keep their fingers off of the triggers unless they are ready to fire. They also utilize realistic tactics such as room clearing protocol and field checking for magazines instead of physically looking away from the possible danger or target. The choreography is both realistic and stylish. The shootout can be intense and also cool. It can be suspenseful and also funny. A particularly genius moment in my eyes comes during a quiet lull in the shootout. A brief respite from gunfire where Parker calls out to Longbow, who he has lost track of in the chaotic shootout, asking if he's alright.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Are you still with me?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Longbow wants to let his partner know that he is still alive and still in the fight, but knows that doing so will give away his position. Longbow's hesitation before answering is a great moment of both acting and suspense that rockets out of the lull and back into the action. Also during this lull while Parker is reloading is a POV shot of the money atop the fountain, a reminder of the goal and a marker of the progress that has been made toward it. In direct contrast to that suspenseful moment is the rapid and excessive volley of gunfire that is unleashed in this moment. The characters are still reloading frequently, but this brief moment has a comedic tinge, as the gunfire that has been happening in the scene thus far now becomes both excessive and ineffective. The death of this one thug becomes comedic due to its overkill nature. Style. The characters reload frequently and alternate reloading and firing with each other to maintain constant gunfire. Realism. The most direct blending of style and realism in one moment happens here. Parker dodges a bullet, then jumps through the air with a gun. Style. He lands screaming with glass from broken bottles stabbed through his arm. Realism. The film takes the cool action trope of diving through the air with a gun and adds a hefty dose of realism. The shot holds on Parker's agony for a very long time as he pulls the glass out of his arm, gagging. And then looks up at the money. This is the final insert shot of the money. Parker has reached his goal, but both him and Longbow are horribly injured by this point. And this shot of the money reminds both the characters and the audience that they may have reached the money, but they still need to make it back across the courtyard. They are only halfway done with their objective. To cite one last visual that is an extremely literal example of the blend between style and realism, I'll direct your attention to the simple matter of Longbow's outfit. The fact that he has been so badly wounded in the shootout is realistic. The red blood contrasting on his white pants, however, is inherently stylish. So that was my dissection of The Final Shootout and The Way of the Gun, a film that I consider to be incredibly underrated. Check it out if you haven't seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to do a review of the film at some point. You can click the boxes on the screen here to watch my video essays on Boogie Nights or on The Wire's opening credits. Or you can click this other box over here to watch our Why Are We Watching This Show, where a group of us randomly selects a terrible DVD to watch and provide commentary on. Check out the social medias at Twitter is @Brickwall Films, Instagram is @Brickwall_Pictures, Facebook is facebook.com/BrickwallPictures. Please support us on Patreon if you can. In a financial sense, that's greatly appreciated. There are perks. Please subscribe to the channel, it helps us out a lot, as does sharing our videos around. Please share us to your friends, share us within your spheres of influence, and help us grow.